The Development Agency meeting of October 4th, 2017 is called to order. I would like to note that Mayor Goodman and Councilman Anthony are excused. This meeting has been properly noticed and posted in compliance with the open meeting law. These proceedings are being video recorded as well as presented live on KCLV Cable Channel 2 and are closed captioned for our hearing impaired viewers. Please note customers of CenturyLink and Cox Communications can view this program in high definition on channel 1002. The council meeting as well as all other KCLV programming can be viewed on the internet at www.kclv.tv/live. The proceedings will be rebroadcast on KCLV Channel 2 and the web the Wednesday of the meeting at 8:00 p.m. and also on Friday at 4:00 a.m., Saturday at 7 p.m., Sunday at 7 a.m., and the following Monday at 5 p.m. This building is protected by a state-of-the-art fire detection and suppression sprinkler system. If alarms should activate during today's meeting, please evacuate using the exits at the back of chambers out to the mezzanine. Proceed out the double doors to the terrace and down the back staircase. For anyone that has difficulty with stairs, please check with a marshal or fire official for assistance. Once outside, assemble on the northeast corner across the street from City Hall at Lewis and First Street. Employees wearing safety vests or our city marshals will inform you when it is safe to re-enter the building. The public comment related to the items on the agenda, citizen participation, and public hearing items, we have available a speaker card which you can complete and submit to the city clerk. Cards are available online in the clerk's office or at the rear of the chambers. If you do not submit a card, it does not prevent you from speaking under public comment, citizens participation, or specific public hearing items. If there is anyone present today that has a need for hearing impaired equipment, please see the city clerk staff right here. If you parked in the parking garage across the street, please be sure to have your ticket validated by security officers when exiting. We will move to item number 3. Public comment during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters on the agenda for action. The amount of time any single speaker is allowed may be limited. All comments made will be cross-referenced to those specific items. If anyone submitted a speaker card or who wishes to speak under this portion of the agenda, please come to the podium and state your name for the record. We will set the time at 1 minute. Is there anybody who wishes to make a comment? Does not appear so we will move on to item number 4. Item number 4 is for possible action to approve the final minutes by reference of the regular Redevelopment Agency meeting of September 6, 2017. Councilman Barlow, can I have a motion to approve the minutes?
Move for approval.
Vote. Let's have a vote on the motion. Post. The motion carries. We move now to item number 5, discussion for possible action regarding a termination of development and disposition agreement between Las Vegas Land Company, LLC, and the City of Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency, RDA, to terminate the disposition and development agreement dated February 4th, 2015, and further amended October 21st, 2015, requiring the construction of a Class A office building to Phase 2 on property formerly owned by the RDA, located at 500 South Las Vegas Boulevard. And this is in Ward 3, Mr. Coffin's ward. Mr. Arndt.
Thank you. Good morning, Mayor Pro Tem, members of City Council and Redevelopment Agency Board. For the record, Bill Arndt, Director, Economic and Urban Development. This item before you today is resolution of a development agreement with a development partner known as Las Vegas Land, LLC. As you noted, Mayor Pro Tem, this contract dates back to 2015, when the Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency entered into a partnership agreement to develop a project. Originally, the project was going to be a single phase, but the developer had a wonderful opportunity to develop the Nevada Supreme Court, and so we revised the deal later in 2015, October 21st of 2015, to allow the developer to move forward in phases. And so the first phase was completed as agreed upon by the Redevelopment Agency and the developer, which was the Nevada Supreme Court, and we know that to be an excellent project. Since that time, the developer has tried to move forward with a second phase and has been unable to move forward to date, and has asked for additional time. And rather than negotiate additional time, the Redevelopment Agency staff negotiated a buyout of that second phase requirement. And the reasoning was for this, that the developer purchased the land back in 2015, and at the time paid a considerable price for the land that not only they purchased from us, but the developer purchased additional land on their own using their own resources. And so rather than agree upon an extra amount of time to give the developer the maximum flexibility for time for that second phase, and that second phase site is a fairly compact site, we negotiated a settlement whereby the developer would pay us full fair market value for the property. Back in 2015, for that February 2015 agenda item, the Las Vegas Redevelopment Agency conducted 2 independent appraisals through independent third-party appraisers. And at the time, those appraisal values were approximately $100 per square foot and $105 per square foot. The Redevelopment Agency sold the subject piece of land, the parcel that it owned, to the developer in 2015 at roughly $25 per square foot for a purchase price of $177,794. The full fair market value of the property at the time we entered into a contract with the developer, based on the higher of the 2 appraisals at that time, would have been $732,366. Therefore, the difference between what the developer already paid us and has purchased the property and that full fair market value at the time of the purchase is $554,572. So in order for the developer to pay full fair market value for the transaction that was originally contemplated, we've worked with our legal team, and we believe that that's representative of a market value price. And so we've negotiated a settlement where the developer would pay us this amount within 30 days should you approve this amendment. This would relinquish and terminate all the other obligations of the developer and the rights of the agency, and essentially turn it to a private sector deal. The developer, as I indicated, already owns the adjacent property, and we believe that the developer is working hard to try to develop the property, and they will be more committed than anyone else to try to develop it because they have a lot of money invested in this property. So with that, we are recommending approval. I would note that the developer is not with us this morning. We did not ask that a representative be available, but the developer is in an agreement with the negotiated settlement, and with that, I would be glad to answer any questions you might have.
No.
Anybody have any questions?
Your Honor.
Yes.
Thank you. I just, in reviewing this case and the history of it, and remembering that the appraisals, and thanks to you helping me understand this bill yesterday, the appraisals that were used for this property were 3 years old. They are 3 years old. I mean, it's like, so they're based on comps from what few land transactions were taking place in 14, because we were just coming out of the recession, and I'm thinking that those numbers are low. That, in fact, when you take a corner lot on Las Vegas Boulevard, just a few blocks from Fremont Street, I think it's going to be worth a lot more than that. But I'm not a real estate expert or an appraiser. It's just that it's these old appraisals that trouble me, if, in fact, they can be relied upon. I don't know what to say, you know. I can't tell if it's the right price.
Councilman, thank you for the question. We believe that the appraisals at the time they were done were a good indicator of market value. You are correct, they are somewhat dated now. They were from September and October of 2014, heading into the February of 2015 transaction. We believe that that was a fair way to approach the settlement because the approach taken at the time we did the original contract back in 2015 was, in order for an incentive for the developer to build the project, we discounted it below that value. So in other words, we pegged the market value at that time when we did the original deal. So if we were starting a brand new transaction from scratch, certainly we would use appraisals today in today's dollars. And the other issue is appraisals can go both ways. So values generally go up over time, but because that was kind of a high watermark period with everything happening downtown with Zappos and Downtown Project and other things, there is a risk if we did new appraisals that the value would go down. So because the difference between the $25 per square foot and the $105 per square foot was so significant, and we believe a good indicator of market value, we didn't believe it was wise at this time to do new appraisals.
Bill, but there's more to this than simply a land transfer here. Weren't they obligated to do this before and pay us, and did they not pay us under the, I guess, doesn't this simultaneously dissolve an old agreement and create a new agreement, this action that you're proposing today?
Councilman, it does dissolve the agreement. It would end all our agreements with the developer. Maybe if I could use the overhead, because it's, I think, hard to walk through it without seeing visually the site and what we did. So if, with your indulgence, I'll use the overhead.
I'd be very happy if the Mayor Pro Tem doesn't mind. I'm just saying that in the back of my mind, I think they were supposed to pay us money, and they haven't paid us. They're overdue, or they're in default. Now we're making an accommodation here at this late hour. So tell me more about it.
Sure. Thank you, Councilman. I think there, maybe if I could take each question apart, I think there are probably two questions there. One is, did they pay us? The answer is yes. So the original agreement back in February of 2015 called for a purchase price of $800,000 for all of the land that the redevelopment agency had owned at that time. So if we could step back in time to fall of 2014, early 2015, at that time, the redevelopment agency owned what the land which is shaded in yellow here, which is this parcel on the corner, 500 Las Vegas Boulevard, which is the property we're discussing today, which is roughly a 7,000 square feet piece of land. And this other piece, the yellow shaded land, the redevelopment agency owned both of those pieces of land. When we appraised it, we appraised both pieces together, and those two appraisals came in at the just under $100 and $105 per foot. We negotiated a price, it wasn't $105 per foot, to try to get the project, and given everything happening here with an alley, there were utilities on site on the 4th and Clark piece, we negotiated a sale price at that time of $800,000. So it was less than market value. So the developer then, in October of 2015, had the Nevada Supreme Court deal as an opportunity to move forward. So we essentially split the deal and we said, okay, move forward with that as the first phase on this piece here. But in order to do that, because we had a purchase price for both pieces of land, we sold the developer both pieces of land for the contract price of $800,000. So he did pay us the price. He did pay us the price that was negotiated. What has not happened, which was a performance item, which I think you're alluding to, is there were two requirements. One, that he build the first phase, which he did, which the developer did. The second requirement,
He did?
the developer.
Yeah.
The second phase was, the second requirement was to build a second building on the yellow and the red, which was parcels of land that the developer bought with its own cash. That second phase has not moved forward. That was going to be an office building. There was a minimum square footage requirement. It was due to start this fall, initially the beginning of September. We did a 45-day extension to see if there was a revised deal that everybody would agree on. But the developer has not yet proceeded to start construction and was up against that deadline and missed some intermediate deadlines. So we were at the point of a default, and that's why we said rather than go through a default process, let's first see if there's a settlement available with the developer.
Well, I can understand reaching some sort of agreement to try to take everybody off the dead center, and it'd be nice to develop that, but those prices were based on fragments of that section of land. Well, actually, all three sections. He owned part, he didn't own the other. Now the developer wants to get the missing part of the jigsaw puzzle put in place for a price that's 3 years old. So I'm worried about that. Can we delay this any, like a month, and, obey it so that we can study and get... I'm really interested in new appraisals, because I just know the land down there is worth a lot more than it was three and a half years ago.
Yeah,
We own it, and he defaulted on the agreement.
Sure.
So we're quits on the agreement unless we pass this as is. This could pass, but not as is, in my opinion. We ought to make sure on the price. That's what I'm concerned about. What would a delay to get new appraisals cost, time-wise?
Councilman, we would need at least 30 days, 30 to 45 days to get 2 new appraisals. We'd also need time to sit back down with the developer. If those appraisals came in lower, then the developer would obviously not want to pay us a higher amount. If they came in higher, it might be a price that's too high where this settlement is not an option. So we certainly could do that. The other option I should state for the record is contractually, if the developer does not perform and we don't get resolution where after we go through a proper default notice period, the developer doesn't remedy that, they'd have an opportunity to come in and try to build something. But if they didn't, we had a remedy to take back this yellow piece of property, just not this one because the court's already built, but just this piece. If we were to do that, there'd be bifurcated ownership where the redevelopment agency would own this 7,000 square foot piece on the corner, the developer would own this piece, and we'd be kind of at a stalemate.
That's correct.
Could we do that? We could do that.
It's not our choice, Bill. It wasn't our choice to delay construction. It wasn't our idea. It was his idea. My thought is, let's just wait a couple of months, get a new appraisal or 2.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, Michelle.
Yes.
So that's going to be my motion unless there is somebody that has a better motion.
I have a better motion.
Go ahead.
Okay. So we've discussed this extensively in briefing yesterday, and our staff has worked diligently on this particular item. And this is Las Vegas, and I understand that it's the gambling city. However, I don't want to roll the dice on this, and let's say we can't retrieve this if we were to do this or couldn't afford it. I am very confident in our staff's ability with this. I'm going to make a motion to approve this because we have been through this for many, many hours yesterday, and I have 100% complete faith in our staff that this is the way to go. So I'd like to make a motion to approve this.
Your Honor, and I would just simply move to amend to require that the motion take effect in 90 days.
Mayor Pro Tem, you have a motion on the floor.
Yes. Turning to legal.
Yes, so you have to address the first motion that was made.
I couldn't hear you.
You have to.
And that new
you will need
appraisals be sought.
to address the
I'm almost
motion
finished.
that was
I
made.
have to address the motion as
Mayor Pro
On the
Tem.
floor right now.
before
Yeah,
the
Mayor Pro
amendment.
Tem, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Okay.
I may be out of order, but let me just amend the amendment, just to simply add that in addition to the 90 days before effective date, that 2 independent appraisals.
However,
be chosen.
Councilman Coffin, I do want to tell you that my understanding from what legal is saying is that we have to we have to vote on the motion first without the amendment?
Right now-
Would you say that loudly for them?
Okay. From what I understand, Councilwoman Fiore made the motion to approve this item. So Councilman Coffin, if you want to ask Councilwoman Fiore if she wants to make an amendment to that motion, you would go ahead and address that with her.
Oh, I
If she would
didn't know we
agree
had
to
to
an
ask our
amendment to that
colleagues
motion.
for permission to amend something that they want to pass. It's never been done in my lifetime. Is that something?
I do think we have done that before on our council.
Well, I mean, I'm talking about when there's a disagreement. It
But
appears
we
there's a
have to
disagreement.
follow the technical business of how a motion is made so that it's legal. She made the motion, she can add your amendment to it. But my understanding is that the person who makes the motion has to agree to the amendment. Am I
Well,
saying
okay,
that
then I'll
correct?
just,
That is correct.
I'll leave it up to the councilwoman. I'm just going to say that I'll oppose it in its present form because we could be giving away this land at a discount price.
Thank you,
And
Mayor.
we don't know.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick to my motion to approve. I have 100% faith in our staff. We've been over this for several hours yesterday in briefing, so I urge my colleagues up here to please approve this motion as it is.
Mayor Pro Tem,
Yes,
comment on the
Mr.
motion.
Barlow.
Thank you. Comment on the motion. Looking at this and working with staff on yesterday, and looking at the wonderful job that has been done by the developer as pertaining to the U.S. Supreme Court building downtown, I think this is a pretty good deal in relation to what Phase 2 could potentially be, being that Phase 1 is, the most marvelous building, in my opinion, downtown. And so I would more than likely be leaning towards the motion on the floor for what staff has presented before us versus looking at the opportunity of possibly losing a potential deal. So I'll be in favor of the motion on the floor at this time.
Do we have any more comments wanted to be made by any of the council? I would like to ask a question. Could you repeat for me when the last appraisal was made?
Councilwoman, for the original 2015 transaction, which was February of 2015, there was a requirement that we were to have done 2 appraisals within 6 months of that date. So those 2 appraisals were done in September of 2014 and October of 2014.
In October of what?
2014,
So 3 years ago.
yes.
I will tell you, I have great faith in our staff. I don't have 100% faith in anything, in myself, anything. I'm sorry, but that's how it is, because we're human and we make mistakes. I do not have much to do in that area, but I do know that we have in the past sometimes made deals that we moved so swiftly that we got caught in something that wasn't as good as it could have been for us. And so I will go with Councilman Coffin. I don't think he's going to win, but I will do that because he knows his area the best and because of our past experience. We know that in the Symphony Park area, we know in places downtown, perhaps we didn't get the best as we could have gotten. Was this because anybody was bad or didn't have the professional ability? No, it's just the way life goes. So I just wanted to make that comment. And I guess we're ready for, the motion is on the floor, so I want to make sure with legal, we're ready for the vote. So please vote on the motion. Whoops, excuse me, I voted wrong. All right, and post. And the vote is passed, the motion is passed. It carries. We'll now move to citizen participation. Public comments during this portion of the agenda must be limited to matters within the jurisdiction of the Redevelopment Agency. No subject may be acted upon by the Redevelopment Agency unless that subject is on the agenda and is scheduled for action. If you wish to be heard, come to the podium, give your name for the record. The amount of discussion on any single subject, as well as the amount of time any single speaker is allowed, may be limited. Is there anyone wishing to speak under this portion of the agenda? Hearing and seeing none, we'll move on to item number 7. This is agency member recognition. Comments made by individual agency members during this portion of the agenda will not be acted upon by the agency unless that subject is on the agenda and scheduled for action. Is there any member of the Redevelopment Agency who wishes to speak under this portion of the agenda? Are there any other comments? All right, hearing none, this development agency is adjourned. We will start our city council meeting at 9 a.m. as posted. Thank you.